Oh, hello ladies and gentlemen. A gun you've seen, I think twice now in videos, I will now bring to you in an introduction as I straighten that. There we go. Very good. Yes. Good. I am struggling with what to call this gun because it's a culmination of many things. So I will tell you its intended purpose is to be a dedicated suppressed lighter version of my MR556. I still love my MR556, it's my favorite rifle, I shoot it all the time, and if I need a gun that's 100% dialed in, that's the one I get, because it shoots laser beams. I also like demonstrating that it's not too heavy to use, both with other people shooting it and me shooting it. So I understand having a damn near 12.5 pound gun is not always ideal, so that's what this gun was for. I decided to take a journey on both building a rifle completely from parts and running a Ballistic Advantage Hansen profile barrel. The Hansen profile is a good concept. So my favorite barrel profile is the HK barrel. It's just thick, dummy thick. And right under that would be Geisley's profile, because it's also thick but not as thick. And then this is on the thinner side of the spectrum without being a pencil barrel. I don't like pencil barrels, they heat string, and I don't like it. So, the Hansen profile barrel is a very, very smart design, gives me an accuracy platform, and something to test out. Now, a lot of people are buying arrow lowers and building guns with arrow lowers. I'm guilty of this too. They're just so damn easy, and the mag well's great, the finish is excellent. Nothing wrong with an arrow lower. The bare minimum standard of lowers I would recommend are Aero Precision and Geisley, even though they're not low tier at all by any means. This is a budget friendly build because I bought everything on Black Friday. It took me forever to put together, and luckily one of my really good friends helped me put it together. I don't know what to call it though, because it was a challenge to put together for me, because it was my first complete upper build where I put the barrel in and did everything. And I decided to also challenge myself further by doing it drunk. So it's a 16-inch Ballistic Advantage Hansen profile barrel with a land tack, which is the first time I'm using a land tack also, and it's a full arrow receiver set, but with Geisley internals. So it's a very weird build. It's kind of, in a way, it's a higher tier budget build. I don't know what to call it. I really don't. So I'll be looking forward in the comments to figure out what I should name this thing. But Drunken Master had entered my mind. I say this because, and some of you have made this very, very well known, that this is a shit job with the muzzle device, and I agree, but installing these is difficult. And I know some of you will say, hey, stupid, there's slits right here for a wrench. You're right, there are, but good luck finding a wrench to fit that, and that will allow you to torque this properly. I literally had to get a file and absolutely cake it in painter's tape to get this on. It was not pretty, so that's what happened there. This slid, but there's plenty of rock set on here. I checked the bore, and that's part of what this video is for, is to show you that yes, it does work. I will get a alignment tool to check the suppressor, and we'll shoot very, very slowly when I do get the Surefire Mini 2 many years down the line, I'm sure. But I just want to do an intro to this build, and now I'm going to talk about my testing process for checking to see if your gun works. I've taken this out twice, and I will say the first time I put it together, it did not function very well. Well, it did. I fired 5 rounds of Men 56 grain just to test function. It did not lock back. Then I fired a couple 77 grain TMKs, about 5 of those, and it ran perfectly, locked back, everything. I did overspring this. It is running a Sprinko blue spring and a Noveske H2, which is a little much for a 16-inch gun. However, I do plan to suppress it later. I know a lot of you guys are in the comments about the Voltor A5 system. I've put a gun together for somebody that has an Aero 16-inch mid-length with the Voltor A5, and it is one of the smoothest shooting guns I have ever fired, so I might entertain that in the future. However, I do have my carbine length spring sets mastered, so I know with a 10.5 you run a red H3. With a 14.5 Sprinko blue H2. Blue H2 is pretty standard for me in a lot of things. Or the Geisley Super 42 with an H2 on my 14.5, and I have the H2 Super 42 in my 11.5, but I might upgrade that to an H3 just to test it out. But I digress. This is the Ballistic Advantage pinned gas block with their melanite coated gas tube, and I was concerned that there was either debris in it or something like that that prevented it from working, and I was concerned with the bolt carrier group because it did bleed a little bit of gas. What I did next to test it though didn't necessarily help me. I had 20 rounds of IMI Razor Core left, and I'm never buying that round ever again. I don't even know if they still make it, to be honest. But 20 rounds of IMI Razor Core, 77 grain. I had a light box of 5 of the 77 grain TMKs, and I had about 40 rounds of 223 55 grain, which is the softest ammo to test with. So I wanted to do a full spectrum test to see, will it run? I didn't bring any of the 62 grain. I just wanted to stay, you know, with what it would realistically be firing at any given day. So I do 5 to 10 lockback tests based on how much ammo I had. This is the Ronavirus apocalypse, so I didn't have a lot of ammo. And putting 65 rounds through something is not a staple of longevity, okay? So I understand that. Normally I'd put between 100 and 150 rounds through it just to test it, not this. So just understand that with the times, that's why. So what I do is I do 5 to 10 lockback tests, which I did. I was very happy with the first round because it was a dead center sternum hit, and I wasn't really aiming so much as just testing the functionality, and you know, I was pretty excited. It did the lockback test just fine. I think it failed to lock back twice the entire outing, which is way better than the first time I took it out. So there might have been some debris in the gas system, or this might have needed to seal up, or it just worked together, but it worked. Next, I did a couple of random magazines just to see if it would function. I always start slow, so I'm not just, oh, I did my lockback test 5 times, let me just start doing mag dumps. I do progressive increases. So the next one was 5 rounds, and then I did a 5 reload 5. Then I started shooting a little more aggressively to see if it would lock back while shooting faster. So again, 2 failures to lock back. Once was on 77 grain and once was on the 20 round mag of 55 grain 223. So much better than the time before. I am going to take this out this weekend to test and see, does it run? And there may be more video footage because I'm shooting this before I go, but I'm gonna edit it, so there might be more footage.
Say she's running now.
Now, something to take note of, and I've already thrown the casings out because I did this video, but it was like 28 minutes. So there was extractor swiping, and I was today years old when I figured out what that was. So 77 grain razor core is overpressured, and I heard it out of this. There was like an extra hiss, and I think because I had this bolt carrier, it helped process some of that extra pressure, but I did get extractor swiping. What extractor swiping is, when you're looking at your brass, is there is a smooth portion on your brass where the extractor polished part of the brass, or it damages the brass on the extractor. So that's bad, you don't want that. And there's also that's the pressure right before you start looking at punching primers. And when you punch primers, it potentially damages your bolt face. So I do not recommend 77 grain razor core. Eric told me in his 18 inch he was punching primers with 77 grain razor core, and it's kind of well known on ARFCOM and Sniper's Hide. So just in the future, stay away from the 77 grain razor core. It was very affordable ammunition, but I can see why now. It was definitely overpressured. The 77 grain TMK ran perfectly, which is good because that's the round I'm going to use, and then I don't give a fuck if 55 grain runs. I really don't care. But it did, so I was happy about it. The only reason I run 55 with the 77 is because the 77 grain TMKs have a really, really convenient zero overlap. So out to 200, maybe 300 yards, you can shoot cheaper ammo without changing your zero and having pretty close impact versus your 77 grain, which is excellent. Overall, I'm very, very happy. This thing shoots very flat and very smooth. I was hurrying in the shooting footage indoors. I don't know how it's going to shoot outdoors, but it was very, very smooth. I'm very happy with it. And the combination of the mid-length system with the Hansen and all that other stuff, it just sings. So I'm looking forward to getting a Surefire Mini for this, and you know, a 1-8 in a Badger Ordnance mount and just going to town. So very, very excited. Another thing I didn't do on purpose, but I'm very excited about, is how light it is. Not because I like light rifles, but I prefer rifles between 8.5 to 10 pounds. And just because it fits me better, it swings better, it stops on target better, all that stuff. So my 11.5s usually average 8 flat to 8.5, sometimes 9 pounds, based on barrel profiles and accessories and everything. But those are good for a short gun. And then if it's too light, I overdrive it. If it's too heavy, I don't drive it hard enough. And this is already, I think, for a 16-inch barrel gun with a legit LMT, LMT SOP mod stock, I think I'm right at 8 something with it, like just barely over 8 pounds, which makes me happy. So I'm looking forward to setting this thing up. It's gonna be a dedicated suppress gun. I did have 2 gunsmiths look at this. Showed me guns that they've had that they shoot with a can that looks like this. It's not ideal, I don't like it. And my other guns don't look that way, but you know. And I will say this is a couple more shims than I would like to use, and I don't like doing sloppy work. I hate doing sloppy work, and this bothers me every day I look at it, but it shoots just fine, so, you know. And in the video, you're gonna see a little bit of flex with the barrel. The longer your barrel and the thinner it is, the less rigidity it has. So if you have like an 11.5 or a 10.5 at home, you won't be able to do this, but if you have a 16-inch, I can do this with my URGI. You know, there is a little bit of barrel flex, more so with these Ballistic Advantage Hansen profiles. You'll see it in the Mr. Guns and Gear video too. So it is what it is. Still looking forward to shooting it. By the way, this is a chromoly vanadium barrel, Aaron Cowan. Chromoly vanadium, not vandalum. I like him though, he's a good dude. He just finds a way to mispronounce something every video. But anyways, I already know it's gonna be good because Mr. Guns and Gear and Aaron Cowan from Sage Dynamics did videos on them, and they shoot very, very well. So I'm looking forward to doing that as well. This is not a gun I'm gonna run super hard, but I will run it the same way I run my MR556. So no mag dumps, but I am gonna be, you know, doing controlled pairs or drills or anything like that with it with no problems. So definitely gonna be testing it out. Very happy to have it. Help me name this thing. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna call it, but I could just call it Two Brothers or something like that because it's an arrow and Ballistic Advantage. I don't know, but we'll see. I love my Rick and Morty jokes. All right, thanks for sticking with me. I know this was kind of a longer jumping around video with a couple things like an intro and stuff like that. Make sure you're taking care of each other out there, very important. And I'll see you around.